EAGLES. Eagles.
Questions asked, questions answered. The Eagles get their 10th straight win today, 27-13 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. A great game from Jalen Hurts, a great game from A.J. Brown. Not a great day for Dan SILEO, who did not quite predict this. Big Sills, what's that?
Great day. I mean, they won the ball game, and again, finally after fucking 6 months, they showed up in the passing game. Way to go. I mean, it's his best game in 3 months. No doubt about it. The story of the game was Hurts and the defense. They completely shut down Barkley. They banged him up. It came down to Jalen and that great. I'll tell you this. The defense was 10 times more impressive in what they did. Look at the numbers in this ball game on what they did to that Pittsburgh team that had done some pretty good things this year. By the way, not dismissing anything that Jalen did, but look at this. They held the Steelers to 10 first downs and 163 total yards, and they held the rushing attack to 56. I mean, they completely annihilated. This was by far their best performance against a 10-win football team. There is no doubt that is the best I've seen them play, and they are the best defense in pro football. Hurts played his best ball game in 4 months. He had more passing yards today than he did in the previous 3 games combined. And guess what? They needed it because they completely shut down Barkley. Did I think that Jalen Hurts would have a game like this? Why would I? He hadn't all year. Now he did. Now, again, you said this, Zander, on Friday about him. Maybe they have a couple weeks here to put it together where they start getting the passing game. Hey, there's no question. I'll say it to you, man. He was absolutely great in this ball game. There's no getting around it, man. He really was when they needed him because they shut down the run game. And by the way, one more time, hey, is this something he can do again? I'm a believer in this. Nothing was answered today. When he showed up had a great game. Answers are you're doing it on a consistent basis over a period of time like you have been with running the ball. Let's see again. It's a great place to be right now for the Eagles. The passing game, is it back? We'll see over the next couple of weeks.
So you're telling me all the questions of this week, this isn't a response. You go up against a Mike Tomlin coach team, a Mike Tomlin coach defense. You go 25-32 for 290, 2 touchdowns, and a 125 rating.
I just said it. I just said that's a great game by Jalen Hurts. Will that be the storyline for the passing game? It's the best passing performance of the year. You're telling me in week 15 that's going to be a trend when it hasn't been all year? We'll see what happens.
But you're moving the goalposts.
That's 60 minutes of football versus 4 months of football, and you're telling me it's been answered. Okay.
No.
Well, I'll tell you what, you and me, I'm not going to debate it. You and me have a completely different view of what consistency is and a one-game performance. I want to see it over a period of time.
Well, we're getting a whole show to do, so we're going to get into it whether you want to get into it or not.
Well, whether you want to hear what I have to say, I don't give a shit either.
I just gave you the platform for the first
5 minutes. Absolutely.
Thank you for giving the game.
Thank you for giving it to me.
We got to talk about the game, Big Sil.
I know we are.
I'm telling you.
I'm doing. I'm not talking about me. Correct.
My concern with the 9-win streak was that you were one-dimensional. Today showed that when you need to be, you're not entirely one-dimensional football team. Obviously, the defense.
No, that doesn't show that. You had one game where you weren't all year. That doesn't show that. That is not factual.
They were 25.
How is that factual when you're the 31st ranked passing offense and you're trying to tell me that now you're showing me that this is going to be consistency? We'll see, Zander, like I said.
That's not what I said. I said that they responded to what the questions were this week with the passing.
Excellent game that they
Everybody said you're one-dimensional with Saquon Barkley.
They have been all year. You're telling me you think one game erases the entire 4 months. Really?
So you're so mad and I'm not even getting a word. That's how I know you know you're wrong. Because you're so angry. I haven't even spoken on the show yet, and you're so angry.
Absolutely ridiculous and absolutely untrue.
That was
Absolutely
a response to the
untrue.
narrative this week.
Mad.
Whether you like it or not. That was a
I
response
don't
to the
care.
narrative.
Okay.
25 and 32, Jalen Hurts today, 290 and 2 touchdowns. Took 3 sacks for 20 yards. Man, TJ Watt, what a player he is. We'll see what happened with him and the injury there. But Jalen Hurts, the best game I've seen from him in a long time. And I thought he answered the question in a big way this week versus a really tough opponent in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big Sills, A.J. Brown had 11 targets, 8 catches for 110. Devontae Smith had 12 targets for 11 catches and 109. You're getting 219 yards out of your top 2 targets today. What do you make of that and what they were able to do?
Phenomenal. I mean, like you said, 19 targets out of both of them. There's no question that this was the best I've seen Jalen Hurts play in 2 years when it came to the passing game and how effective he was in the run game. I mean, 15 carries for 45 yards, 290 yards passing, 2 TDs, a rushing touchdown. He completely was needed because they completely shut down Saquon Barkley. I mean, and they still had 131 yards. And what I said also on the pregame show was this has to be a Hurts game because they're going to shut down Barkley. I mean, and they did shut down Barkley. Jalen was absolutely at his best. It's the best game of the year. It's actually maybe the best game since last year's Buffalo game. And right now, again, with the Lions getting killed by the Bills today, you're talking about a football team now in a position where it's a race for the home field position. Jalen Hurts, like Tom Brady. And by the way, to go along with what the GOAT said, the one thing that you still have to be concerned about is how much that there were still a little open guys and holding on to the football. And he would like to see a little bit more consistency over the next couple weeks with this offense, especially in the passing game. I echoed the GOAT. That's all I did too. I just echoed what Brady said. And again, it was a great game. He answered the bell, like you said, Zander, about all the BS that went on. And so did AJ to some extent. No question. By the way, the sideline fiasco with Clint Hurt, I'll find out a little bit more. I think personally, that's just competitive bullshit that goes on the sideline.
It looked to me like Nick Sirianni was pissed at Jalen Carter. And by the way, it should have been. That was a stupid penalty. And they're lucky it was enforced after the kick. I thought you had a chance to keep Pittsburgh on the field there. And I think Clint maybe got in the way of him. I couldn't really tell what happened.
Yeah, no. I think he stepped over the line maybe a little bit because you got to remember something. Sirianni's the head football coach. And if he wants to address a football player and get on the sidelines and get in his ass, I don't think that's a problem. I think, again, that's just competitive stuff, Zander, in my opinion. So, again, to me, of all the things that happened this week, I think that's a complete nothing burger.
Yeah, I want to stay on this offense for a little bit, and then we'll get into the defense because, man, they have just been they made Russell Wilson look like a shell of himself.
Absolutely.
Today. They are a good defense. Talk about consistency, talking about showing you week after week. That defense has earned the benefit of the doubt at this point. I do want to stay on the offense, Sills, and
how about this?
I don't want to say this to debate. I want to actually get my point out and hear what you have to say. My concern as a fan of the Eagles was you're destroying teams with Saquon Barkley. It was great, right? 9 straight wins. I was ecstatic about it. I thought it was great. I was concerned if you're one-dimensional, you could get into a playoff game where that's going to come back and bite you. You can't move the ball through the air. And I think in that first half, really mainly the first half, obviously a good second half too for Hurts, but the first half, it really showed you how dynamic this team can be. When your defense, think about it, Sills, they had 17 points with 10 minutes left in the second quarter, and they turned the ball over twice. They were moving the ball so efficiently and quickly in the passing game, and you can see why people like you, people like John McMullen say, the running game is great. You need to be able to pass. And I thought what they showed today, despite them not doing it in recent weeks, today they needed to, today they wanted to, and they did it. It showed me when they need to be, they can be a more versatile football team and answer the bell.
So Kellen Moore had a great game too then, right?
Well, yeah, and I think that maybe proves me wrong on Friday. If Jalen Hurts plays well like he did, you saw the stats. Brady put them on the screen when you brought up the point. It was a good point by Brady. First 4 drives, Jalen was throwing the ball in 2.7 seconds. Look how good he looked. He reverted back to that 4 seconds a little bit later in the game, and you started to see some worse plays. But, yeah, I mean, Kellen Moore had a great game today, and maybe that's just because Jalen Hurts was letting that thing fly, man.
Well, because somebody's calling the plays for him too, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
and look, he looked good, man. The plays were there, and the receivers were open.
Maybe what it comes down to is this was a game that they needed because they knew that Barkley was going to be held down. And all the things that we debated about with Kellen Moore last week, Kellen Moore said, let's rip it and throw it. And they ripped it and threw it. Yeah. And guess what? This goes back to the one thing that you said and why we started the show. Maybe again, Zander, getting away from it. And all year long, they've been running the football. And then what they did in this game was they had to pass the football. Well, both guys looked like they were on the same page with me, no?
Yeah, no, they absolutely did today, and they really connected. I mean, think about it. Those targets were pretty impressive. 12 targets for Devontae, 11 for A.J. Brown. If you're going to pass the ball, that's what I want to see. Get those guys in. They're too good, Sills. They're too good to not be – like, I love Saquon Barkley. I love that he was on pace for Eric Dickerson. I don't give a shit if he gets it or not. I'm sorry. I don't anymore because I think those two players are too good to let them collect dust on the sidelines. You got to get them involved like you did this week. And I think your offense just becomes that much more of a juggernaut, that much more to handle for opposing teams, especially so as you add in this defense, like you pointed out. I mean, I'm not taking away any credit from them. When you add this defense with an offense that can now move the ball in the air and on the ground, I think you're in territory. That's a legit Super Bowl contender. That's a team that can hang with the best teams in the NFL. You're right. They got to keep doing it. But that type of play makes me much more optimistic for a playoff game, wherever it is, in Philly or Detroit. And by the way, Detroit's losing right now by 2 touchdowns to Buffalo. So looks like that first seed could be very much in play for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Would you not agree now? And I got to tell you, and I'm going to 1,000% say this, Eagles have the best defense in pro football. There's no getting away from it. They're the best defense. Zander, I never thought on December 15th, 2024, I'd say this. The Philadelphia Eagles have the best defensive football team in the league. And get this, I'm not sure it's close with anybody. Okay? I mean, they like you said, Pittsburgh's a good ball team, man. They move the ball on just about anybody. And I thought it was great respect at the end of the ball game by Sirianni being down there in the red zone taking a knee when he could have jammed another one in on you. I mean, actually, that just shows you how out of hand that game got at the end. Can you imagine this? Mike, he makes a decision not to go for a field goal or go for it on fourth down. And he never gets the ball back.
Yeah, I didn't understand that decision. See, that's where I think.
Yeah, but I didn't understand the Sirianni decision also to stop the clock and give the Steelers the opportunity at that field goal. They stopped the clock and they made it 17-13 at the half. And I go, that was a little something there that I may have wanted the clock, force them to go out there, make them kick that,
right? Whether
or not, because I mean, I get. I mean, what
you're talking about when the Steelers had no timeouts left at the end of the half. You wanted them to have to rush the kick
and rush the kick.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a less consequential pick compared to what Tomlin. I didn't understand that decision there, where 8 minutes left and you want to punt the ball away. I don't know why
he was going to get a stop.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I just think the Eagles' offense was moving too good at that point to give the ball back there. That's where I think the modern. See, I think there's a fine line here because on the same breath that I'm going to say this next comment, you got to factor in what Dan Campbell did today, which was just a stupid decision. But that's where I think the aggressive nature of coaches can give you a competitive advantage, where Mike Tomlin's an old school guy, and I love it. It works for him, and he's obviously a great coach. But I think going for it there makes the most amount of sense. Now, on the flip side, did you see what Dan Campbell did in that game?
No, I didn't.
Dan Campbell and the Lions came back. For anybody that missed it, I was watching. I had both. I had the Lions game on my iPad, so I was watching them both. But the Lions come within 10, right? There's 12 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They come within 10. They get a touchdown. 2 straight drives of touchdowns. He onside kicks it with 12 minutes on the clock. The Bills recover the onside kick and take it back to the 3-yard line. 4 seconds later, another Bills touchdown made it a 17-point game. And I'm like,
cow.
Dude, kick it deep and get it.
Kind of stuff that you go back to the NFC title game and you're like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. That'll cost you games. Those type of decisions.
Knee-jerk stuff, man. You know what? I tell everyone the brass slipper is right in front of you and the brass ring's right in front of you. You come out of your school and you start doing shit that doesn't really make sense on some of the things that you do all year, especially against a Bills team. Man, That is not good coaching. Zander, I want to go back to one thing, how we started the program out.
Go for it.
I'm not suggesting in any way that Jalen didn't have a phenomenal game. The storyline is two things here, Jalen and the defense. It wasn't the run game. The run game the run game with him in the passing game was all him today. This was the first game where I went to come away going like this. And I don't know how you feel about this, but for me, this is the first game I come away this year going like this. They won that game because of Hurts.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, the rest of them have come either at the hands of AJ or Barkley. So again, what I want to see is this. Is this now going to become something where we see Barkley banged up, right? A little bit nicked up. I saw him grabbing his groin. He had a knee. Is this now where he picks it up and runs into the season with being able to carry the team? So again, look, by the way, that's the best win of the year, even better, in my opinion, in Baltimore. Remember who beat Baltimore? Pittsburgh beat Baltimore. Right. Okay, so this is a 10-3 team that was in charge of the AFC North, which many people consider one of the better divisions in pro football. You beat them. By the way, you beat them to a point where, get this, it wasn't really a debate who the better team was.
I agree. And by the way, I agree with your assessment that you have to keep doing it. Would you say this too? The offense today is a better offense than what it was the previous 9 wins where you're running the ball.
Yes. Now
it is, right? It's a more playoff ready offense that can deal with more things that come their way, any adversity, stuff like that.
Okay. Now, to me, it comes back down to this. Brady in the broadcast said this. There were guys crossing and that were wide open. It just seemed that Jalen Hurts didn't want to let the ball go. And to me, I'd like to see a little bit more progression in that. Now, does Kellen Moore and Jalen Hurts have the confidence coming out of this Pittsburgh game to do this? Hey, let's do this against the Commanders. Let's do this against Dallas. Let's do this as we get into the playoffs. Do they have the confidence to be able to do that? Zander, that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
I'm a prisoner of the now. I'm not a prisoner of tomorrow.
Well, I hear that.
And I'm a prisoner of what you've done.
Well, so you know what else we both
I'm not
are?
a fortune teller.
We both like to put our foot in the sand, stake it there, and say, fuck you if you don't like it. Well, that's a rebound from Jalen Hurts, baby. Let's go, Jalen.
Oh no! Oh wait. So now you're back on the Jalen. Okay. All right. You're back on the Jalen wagon.
290. Are you kidding me, Sills?
Okay. Hey, Pumper, he's back on the Jalen wagon when he throws 3 picks. When he throws 3 picks next week. By the way, 40 sacks on the year so far for the kid.
Yeah, and by the way, I do want to ask you about 2 other guys too. Saquon Barkley, he didn't look the same to me today. I know they kind of slowed down the passing game or the running game, which I think is fair to say.
But run defense is legit, dude. They're not
like
I know they are. They're legit. Okay, that's
but remember when you said to me, the same?
Remember when you said to me, you go like this, do you really believe that the Ravens are the 4th best rush defense? And I said, I don't know. We're going to find out. Do I believe that the Steelers are one of the top 3 rush defenses? I surely do.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I thought they beat Barkley up in that game. Barkley came out of that game more banged up than ever before. I mean, let's just say this.
He missed the whole second quarter.
Missed the whole entire second quarter, man. So, yeah, no, I mean, hey, let's see how that goes forward. And I'm going to be – well, the Eagles won't tell you anything today, and they'll never tell you anything about his injuries. But make no mistake about it. I mean, hey, by the way, your boy finally, after like 4 months of football, showed up. Way to go, man. I mean, he actually put a cape on today. It only took him 4.5 months. I've been waiting since September. Here we are.
Oh, listen, big game today for Jalen Hurts. You know who else deserves a little credit today? Kenny Gainwell. I thought he ran the ball. He didn't run the ball super effective, but the couple of receptions he had where he fought for first downs on 3rd down, I thought that was stone cold impressive from Kenny Gainwell, who's quietly having a decent season as a running back too, behind a guy that's on pace for Eric Dickerson. Not easy to get yards and touches, when you're behind that type of player. I thought Kenny Gainwell was solid today. He's been a good outlet. And he was a good change of pace back.
Hey, Zander, how about this? When I look at the numbers, I'm going like, 7 carries for 20 yards. How come they seem like they were 220 yards?
Well, he did the main yards he had were receptions.
40.
He had 3 catches for 40.
Yeah. No. But what I'm saying is, how come those 20 yards seemed like they were 200 yards rushing?
I know.
Because every time they needed something on third down, he got it. Then also, too, hey, how about the elusiveness he showed, too, on breaking tackles, too? Steelers are traditionally one of the very best tackling teams in the league, and there's no question, man. I mean, he had a really good game. I mean, what did they end up rushing the football for as the unit? 131 against the Steelers? That's exceptional. Look at these numbers over here, though. Pittsburgh ran the ball for 56 yards and had 107 passing. Holy cow, bro. That's how you beat a team up, man. That defense, next. I can't believe the job that Vic Fangio's done.
Yeah, we're going next to that, right to that defense, and you just said it, man. Who stood out to you most on the defense there? I got one player in mind that I want to give you, all right? Nolan Smith. Now, he's not a game wrecker yet, but this is a second-year player who was taken in the first round last year. He didn't do a whole lot of anything in year one. He has really come on. You lost Bryce Huff. You lost Brandon Graham. He had 2 tackles for loss today, a sack, and 4 total tackles, 3 solos. I thought he had a really good game, and he does not look like a liability to me in any area of the game, and I think that's a big win for this team.
I'm going to – wait, I got to clean my glasses off with the guy I'm going to say. I hate what I'm going to say. Well, maybe I don't hate. I thought Nakobe Dean had the best game of the year for him.
Yeah, dude, he's playing really, really good.
I mean, I thought he stuffed Najee Smith the entire game. I thought it was him, not – but let me tell you, Zach Bond has amazing closing speed. I mean, dude, he makes tackles in open space as good as any linebacker in today's NFL.
Dude, he runs with receivers. I know that flea flicker. You know that flea flicker play? I know they completed it, but Zach Bond was right there with Tavon Austin, who's a really speedy little receiver.
His closing speed was essential in keeping Pittsburgh at bay. And by the way, dare I do this? Holy shit. Was there a Jake Elliott sighting today? Was there, man? I mean,
he got back on track a little bit.
Well, he made a couple 50s, didn't he, today? I mean, I was like this. Holy shit. There was a Jake Elliott sighting. The defense was insane. And Jalen Hurts played his best ball game of the year, without a doubt, dude.
He didn't have a 50 today, Sills. He had a 34-yarder.
And they took that off the board, remember? They took that
48-yarder. They took off the board with the penalty. Yeah, so ultimately. But, hey, listen, it's good to see him getting a couple plays there, getting a couple hits because you needed that from him. And, you know, look around the league. There was a couple other big kickers today who had misses, especially in Detroit. I think Bates had a missed kick today. So kicker problems seem to be happening everywhere, Big Sills. I'm happy you brought up Nakobe Dean, though. He really looks like a great player. And Jalen Carter keeps dominating. What'd you see from that sideline stuff? I know you said you're going to try and reach out to Clint, but
I'm going to reach out to
Clint. Something like that.
Yeah, well, again, you know, I posted a video of it, too. It looked to me like Nick wanted to get in the face of Jalen Carter for that stupid penalty that he had. And I think Clint got in the way of it all and basically stopped it. Nick started screaming at him. And he said, no need for it. I got it under control. He's my guy. That's how I'm reading that.
Right.
Because I know Clint and how that goes on. And to me, I think Clint stepped over his bounds because let me tell you this, dude. If a head football coach wants to make a comment about his player, he should have that ability to go over there. So to me, I think that's more on Clint and getting into – I mean, listen, it's all competitive juices, man, especially when you're in that moment like that. You know what's crazy about that moment? Both those coaches didn't give a shit about being in the lead or behind or what have you. It was the competitive spirit of that football game. I don't have a problem with it.
No, I have no problem.
Like usually me, I make molehills into fucking Mount Vesuvius. Okay, to me that's a nothing burger.
That's an understatement by Big Sills. But no, I love it, man. Listen, I went to Alabama. I watched Nick Saban. He remember the famous play from Nick Saban where there's 3 seconds on the clock and the Alabama team jumped off and he's chucking heads. We're up 62-3.
Let me give you the greatest moment. Zander, did we have a sideline moment at the start of the game? Okay, well, you and me, man. Guess what? It's talking about being competitive, dog.
Dude, you're a cisspot. When this team performs,
Cisspot.
you put on a stink face. Everybody
That's what
sees
I've
it.
been
Your
called.
stink face oozes through the
There's
show.
no-
You were so. I didn't even get my open out.
I
My
have
open
no
was 22 seconds.
stink.
I didn't even get
I
it out.
have no freaking stink face. What are you
My
talking about?
open was
here?
22 seconds.
The only
everybody.
face I ever have is a Corona face.
22-second open. I couldn't even get it out before Big Stills had to jump in.
No,
Oh my
because
God,
before
he didn't answer the bell.
this guy
Jalen did answer the
going,
bell.
Bossy game is back. And you're
I
like,
got
oh,
news for you, Big Sills. Jalen Hurts answered the bell today.
Oh,
He answered the call.
He answered
today.
the bell. Will he answer the bell the rest of the year?
I think so. We got a couple good matches.
Oh, I think so. See, again, reality is he hasn't done it but one game this year. You're this. I know and I believe, when Santa puts my sleigh underneath my Christmas tree and my new Schwinn bike, all that, you believe. You should believe.
Yeah, I'm in the Christmas spirit. What's it hurt to believe, Big Sills? I've seen him do it in the past, and I will watch him do it again. Look at this big super chat from 18. Appreciate it.
Stink face.
You did. Listen.
There's no such thing with me.
I'm
cool
and
level-headed.
You rewatch the start of our post-game show today, and you tell me about the SILEO stink face.
Okay.
I bet you your Aunt Betty will tell you it was there. Shout out to Aunt Betty on the post-game show. Jason 18 says
such thing as a SILEO.
This is a Super Bowl team. What a way to respond. Love this team. Tyler Steen is a baller. Well, he got beat up a little bit today when he was in there, but he did do good overall. Hurts best game of the year. The fight in this team is night and day from last year. Just stay healthy, and we got this. How you doing? You're going to be getting a lot of them this week, Big Sills.
Well, I would. Oh no, don't worry. I'm very well planned out for this because I know that everyone thinks that one game makes a season. But I will say this to you: they did show one thing today. You know what that was? Resilience. They did. They were resilient after this week, and I'll tell you what. I thought they beat the Steelers up.
They did.
Okay? I didn't think they could. I did not think they could beat the Steelers up, but they did.
Yeah, that was one of those physical games, Sills. That was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was an old school football game that was fun to watch. But
yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there were some injuries that you take there. Saquon Barkley was a little bit banged up. A lot of guys on the offensive line. Lane Johnson got a little bit banged up. Becton was in and out. Landon Dickerson was in and out. I mean, I don't know what to make. I don't know if any of those are going to be serious. It seems like the Eagles keep getting these injuries, but none of them are season enders or anything like that. So I think they're going to be all good, but that was one of those physical games where the war of attrition comes into play for sure.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I totally believe we shall see the next couple weeks here how this roster looks. Hey, you know what? Again, too, man, people say Steen stepped in. I didn't think he played poorly. I thought he played okay at the spur of the moment. Even when Lane went out, too, I thought Fred played well. Fred Johnson played well. Look, man, it was a great football game that's the best game that they've played all year, 4 quarters. Would you not agree?
Oh, I agree for sure. And that Detroit game is in the books, by the way. 48-42 was the final. So Detroit makes it look like it was a little closer than it was. But you know what that tells me, Sills? Buffalo gets the win in Detroit. Well, Detroit can be beaten, but they did put up 42 points. So if you're going to go into Detroit and beat that football team, you're going to need to put a lot of points on the board. And credit to Josh Allen, who had another MVP level performance.
362 yards passing, 23 of 34, 2 TDs, and he ran for almost 70 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So he's had 10 touchdowns in 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's playing unbelievable right now.
And they're 11-3 right now. And to me, the championship in the AFC is going to go through Kansas City. And right now, to me, it's trending because if you look at Detroit's schedule and Minnesota's schedule, Zander, and then you look at the Eagles' schedule as you finish out, to me, I think it favors Philadelphia on hosting home field advantage. And for one factor that we'll always say to you guys, you have never gone to a Super Bowl without hosting home field advantage. And right now, I think you're the favorites to handle home field advantage in the NFC.
Well, if you look at it, so right now, but where we are right now with the Detroit loss and with the Eagles win, if we win out and you need the Vikings and the Lions to each lose one of their last 3 games. So it's very realistic. And if you look at it here, the Lions, this is who the Lions have coming up. They have the Bears, the Niners, and then the Vikings. So one of them is going to take a loss, right? Lions are playing the Vikings. So, and then the Vikings have the Bears tomorrow night, and then they have they're on Monday Night Football tomorrow. Then they have the Seahawks, the Packers, and the Lions. So I think you're good for at least one loss from the Vikings. It looks like the Birds could fall into the number 1 seed here, which would be huge for this team to go through Philly. Dude. If you get Jared Goff, if you pull Jared Goff out of that dome and make him come to Philly, I don't think that Lions team has a chance in beating us. I really.
By the way, just for the record on Jared Goff, he threw for 494 yards and 5 touchdowns, 38 of 59 in that ball game. So,
that's because they were behind.
I get it, but he still threw for, again, here's another guy who last week threw for 4 touchdowns. He has almost 10 touchdowns in 2 weeks thrown for the football. I mean, like you said, that's a ton of points, though, to give up to one really dimensional football team in Buffalo. I mean, look, I know that what's-his-name had a decent game, Cook. He went for 105 in that ball game. But Jesus criminy, man. I mean, you have all that talent on that side of the ball, and especially on the defensive side. I could promise you this. The Eagles are not going to give up 42 points or 48 points in a ball game to anybody this year. There is no way they're giving up 48 points. There's not a chance.
So here's the craziest stat of today's game. You ready for this, Big Sills?
Hit me.
The Pittsburgh Steelers got 2 second-half possessions in the entire second half. That's how good both units were today. The offense, credit to their field, credit to them. They stayed on the field, kept moving the sticks, long, drawn-out drives to end the game, and then the defense doing what they did, obviously holding that thing. But 2 second-half possessions for the Steelers, I mean, that's unbelievable, and it shows you why they couldn't come back in that game. And by the way, what a game break that was, that Najee Harris fumble.
Unbelievable.
I mean,
they were going in the sport.
They were driving at that point. They could have tied the game at 20, and then Najee fumbles that ball, and the Eagles went away with it at that point. And, credit to them. They took advantage of it, but that was a major shift in the game.
That was the only time in the game that I felt where Pittsburgh was going to crawl back into it. But here, look at these numbers here defensively. 10 first downs, 3 for 10 on third down, 41 total plays. I've never heard of that. They only had 40 fucking plays.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, that is insane that you held the team to 41 plays. There were 9 drives in that. The Eagles had 77 plays, and the last 4 were kneel downs. I mean.
And coming into this game, Sills, the Steelers were number 1 in the NFL in time of possession.
Yep.
So you bullied the bully today, and you did what they did. You took what they do best, and you made it their kryptonite. I mean, that's impressive.
Get this. The Eagles almost had double the plays in this ball game to what the Steelers did. That's how dominant the defense was in this ball game. You're scoring, and how many 3-and-outs were in that ball game too, by the way? I mean, they did it. You know what? I'm going to say this to you too. I thought Jordan Davis played well. I mean, that was like the first game where I saw him in there, and they were clogging that middle up, and they were doing a really good job inside that middle there. Hey, you know what? You know who's having a really sneaky season? Is Josh Sweat. I mean, Josh Sweat.
Yeah, he had a big third down sack today. Yep.
He is having one of those sneaky years where he's going to get 10 sacks on the season. And I got to tell you, man, I mean, he really played well today. That whole front played well. Nolan Smith, as you mentioned, I really thought Russell Wilson did a poor job on the snap count by not at least throwing him off a little bit. Became a little predictable. But still, I mean, they stifled them, man. That was the best performance against a really good football team and a well-coached team. They did a great job. Look, I think Baltimore is good, but I think Pittsburgh might be more balanced and all around because of their defense and the ability to run the ball. But the Eagles stuffed it, man. They did, and Jalen was really great today. He really was.
Yeah, good point there by Prince, who puts up a super chat. That's now a sweep, everybody, of the AFC North.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
Way to go, Prince, because look at the quarterbacks. Burrow, Lamar, Russell. Again, Cleveland, again, you can give whatever you want there, but, they said that was the division of the quarterbacks, and they swept that North. Many people think the North is the best division in football, Zander. When you got Pittsburgh and, you got Baltimore in that division there. I mean, there's some great teams in that division, and to sweep that division is absolutely – how about this? They have an opportunity to sweep the NFC East and the AFC North. I mean, that's really unbelievable. And the only division they had a tough time was, believe it or not, the NFC South, where once again the Buccaneers have showed up again, and here they are because Mike Evans and everybody's running the ball again, and you're starting to see the Bucs again. The Buccaneers are going to make the playoffs, by the way.
They're quietly having a nice end of the year. By the way, did you realize they have 2 rushers right now? That Bucky Irving.
Yeah.
And I'm forget blanking on the other guy's name, but they're up to 1,700 or 1,800 combined yards together. I mean, they have a good running attack there in Tampa too. So that's a good game, a good team down there in Tampa. Let's get to a couple super chats here, Big Sills. You'll like this one. Josh Herman says, let's not overreact. Jalen had a great game. Continue to build on it. I like it, Josh.
No, and again, look, if there's 2 conversations here, you're either talking about what he did today, or you're talking about what he's going to do tomorrow, which no one knows. But one thing he hasn't done prior all year is had games like this. He's not been consistent. But to your point, again, do you want to talk about today's game? Okay. Do you want to talk about this being a trend, which it's not? We shall see over the next couple weeks.
Good stuff there, Josh. Appreciate you checking in, brother. Christopher says, Sills, eat your crow. I love it.
No crow on December 15th. I don't have any crow. You've won dick now. You haven't done anything yet.
You made a tough last-second decision to switch.
No, and I stand by
hate to see it, Big Sills.
I stand by every single thing I've ever said on the air, always. And on December 15th, you know what you've won? Admiration.
Lord Lubu says, Zander, keeping it real. Hurts responded, where are all the Hurts haters and Detroit meat riders now?
We're all the Hurts haters
Detroit today, man.
Still a long season to go, my friend. Hey, Lord, hang in there. Man, it's yet to come.
We're getting close to the end here. Appreciate that, Lord Lubu.
Wait a minute. No, we're not getting close to the end. The end's in February, my friend, not in December and January.
Jay Shaw says, Sills just pissed off that his takes are full of shit. It's not about if they can do it consistently. It shows they can do either run or pass when they want to. They've been choosing to run. Let's go, Jay Shaw.
Choosing to run. Okay, that's what they've done.
That's
why AJ bitched all week. You're right, because they were choosing to run.
I made a tweet out today.
Hey, by the way, either people hate Kellen Moore or they like him. Which is it? I'm lost. Which is it? Do you like him now, Zander, or do you hate him today?
Who?
Kellen Moore.
Well, he did better today, but I think so
did Hurts do better. So they both get the same.
Well, like I said, I think I'm proven wrong because Hurts looked better today, and that the passing offense started clicking. So my assumption that I thought Kellen Moore could have been holding the passing offense back at this point, it looks like it was debunked because once Hurts starts making those throws, it starts clicking.
I don't know that yet. If he's not the problem, let's see how.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think both of them deserve some of the blame or whatever you want to call it for the passing offense, but
they get credit for the bounce back. Absolutely,
yeah, right. I'm trying to be real. I mean, like I thought it was Kellen because I was looking at some of the numbers that I thought were alarming. Today was a big bounce back, and Jalen was letting that thing fly. So I think that makes you look a lot better. Here, Anton checks in, who's now on the Zander shit list. Anton, I said it last week. This guy loves tooting his own horn. If a team managed to take away Barkley, Hurts would deliver. Franchise record 10 straight wins. We still have a problem. See you on the post. Anton, you are off the post for a week. You're getting a week timeout for that stupid ass tweet you sent me earlier, brother. But I appreciate the super chat there. Clary Voy says, not on the Hurts train. Good game called to his strengths. Confident game for a confidence-driven player. Watch the quotes come back.
Clairvoy, I think you're downplaying his game.
I do too. I think he had a really good day.
I think it was more than just a good game. I mean, that was his best game of the year, and he looked excellent in the ball game. I mean, listen, doing it again and being consistent with it is something that I want to see. I see where you are, but I mean, I think you're downplaying his game today because Barkley was nowhere.
Good stuff there. Appreciate everybody for all the super chats today, man. We hit that like button, everybody. We got a lot of people in here right now. Sills, 10 straight. Jalen Hurts, 290. 2 tutties, another touchdown on the ground. I'm not, Sills, it's Christmas. I'm not going to let the Grinch SILEO take away how I'm feeling about my football team. All right. So fuck you, Big Sills. In the nicest way possible. In the way of I love you, Big Sills. But fuck you, Big Sills. The Grinch. Fuck you, Sills.
Hey, you see, one of the great things that I've built up here with my friends at JAKIB and with Zander, he's probably the only human being that I would ever have that happen with me just now. And you know what I feel? It's a merit badge, and I love it. And I'm going to tell you flat out this. Okay, let's continue to build on it. He had 60 minutes, first 60 minutes all season long where he was excellent. The rest of the season has been garbage.
Don't let the Grinch
garbage. Garbage. Great game, Zan. Great game, Jalen. Great game. What's this? Has it been a great season? No. Has it been a great game? Yes.
Let's go through a couple more super chats. Then we'll get to our first break. We're going to talk to John McMullen soon from Lincoln Financial Field. Looking forward to talking to John and seeing what his takeaways are. So John typically falls like between Sills and I, where Sills wants to be this way. I'm going to go this way. John seems to be the guy in the middle. So we'll see what he has to say about this one today. Marcus Williams says, Hurts beat the 8th ranked defense with his arm. Eat crow, Sills.
He did beat the 8th ranked defense and a very good defensive football team.
In all seriousness, Sills, I'm giving Jalen more credit because that was Mike Tomlin today.
Yes.
Like I thought Mike Tomlin, that's the one coach I was like, he's going to put Jalen or force him to make a bad decision today. And I thought it would bite him potentially with the drama this week. And Jalen really had a good game versus a tough defense.
A Spike struggling with wins this year. Let's see if the mighty and all-time win happens. You know what that is? The game in New Orleans. Because all these games will mean dicky. Okay? All this will mean nothing. There's only one game that matters.
Brian Pump checks in. He says, what a glorious day.
Oh, good.
My Eagles won and Hurts was good. But you know what they say? Every clock is right twice a day. Good job. Do it again.
Boy, Pump. I love you, man.
Yo, Pump, I'm hitting you with the SILEO treatment. Fuck you, Pump.
Hey, Pumper. Bum juice, man. Hey, by the way, Brian, you know what today is? It's either going to be two things. The guy does well, or it's, guess what? Fool's gold. We shall see. It's one or the other.
Good stuff. We're going to get to our commercial break. Appreciate everybody watching the show right now. Hit that like button. We got to get at least 500, 1,000 likes for this football team. 10 straight wins, Big Sills. Jalen Hurts has now joined a list of John Elway, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning are the only quarterbacks to have 3 consecutive years of 10 straight win, or 3 different times where he had 10-plus win streak.
Let's see here. Elway has 2 rings. Who's the other guy? Manning has 2 rings. Who's the other guy?
Brady's got what, 7?
Brady's got 7 rings. And Hurts has
what? Got 3 rings.
And Hurts has ungats.
There's only one answer to that equation. As a mathematician myself, there's only one answer to that equation. Jalen Hurts is the next person there to get a ring, Big Sil.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Hey, congratulations to you. What a great day. And Eagle fans should be absolutely over the top today and what they did to the Steelers. And I'm not actually kidding.
It was a good win. It's 10 straight.
No, Zander. Not a good win. It was a great win.
It was a great win. I thought it was the best win of the year today.
It is.
What you were able to do versus the 10-win team and the Steelers, an AFC opponent in Philly.
And you beat them up.
Yeah, you did. You flat out beat them up. By the way, can we just give credit to one player on their team? How good is TJ Watt, dude? I mean, man. He is
even Lane was having trouble with him.
When you give Lane Johnson problems, you know you're good.
Yeah. You mean Lane was having problems with him out there. And boy, I'll tell you what, how about his pursuit angle too, man, that when he gets by the guy, Hurts, I mean, he just chases him down. He has got great speed, man. What a great football player.
Polska Trucker checks in. I got to get to this one before the break. Polska, appreciate it, man. I'll get to all super chats, by the way, before the end of the show. We always read every super chat here on JAKIB Sports, so we appreciate you guys. Polska says, this showed that if you're going to stop Barkley, Jalen showed he could throw it. Good game by Jalen stepping up. Good stuff there by Polska.
Not a good game, a great game. It's his best game he's played in 2 years.
I'm happy to hear Big Sills give Jalen Hurts a little bit of credit.
I did at the very beginning. I said he had a really great game. I mean, there's no getting around it. No,
you were the best form of the Grinch I've ever seen in the open.
No. You see, we're talking about today because we can't talk about his season. It's been horseshit. We're talking about today.
Not been horseshit.
Oh, no, you're right. When you have the 31st ranked offensive passing team, no, he's played great.
Well, I know, but there has to be some context added to that.
Here's the context. Baltimore and Detroit do the same shit every week, and they're balanced in their offense, and you're not.
He's got almost 3,000 passing yards now. He's 69.2 on completion percentage, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. It's not Josh Allen. It's not those type of guys. You're right. But with this offense, with this team, he's having a good year right now.
How is he having a good year when your offense is ranked 31st in passing and 1st in rushing? How is that a good year?
It won't be after that monster performance.
Oh, yeah. You know what they'll be? They'll be 27th.
78% completions today, Sills, for 290 and 2 touchdowns.
What a game he played. Unbelievable game he played.
Great stuff by Big Sills.
By the way, does he have more rushing touchdowns right now than he has passing touchdowns? Or is that number kind of still in the room there? Because, man, I'll tell you, he might lead the NFL in rushing touchdowns this year. Now, don't worry about passing touchdowns.
First in the NFL in rushing touchdowns right now, 14.
Yeah, so get this. You have a quarterback in Philly that's got a better chance of leading the NFL in rushing touchdowns than ever in passing touchdowns. There you go. Go ahead. It's all good. You're right. It's great.
It's a new style of quarterback. I'll admit that there's.
Oh, it's a new style.
Well, it is. I mean, it's not new completely. You see it across the league, but I think to the extent that Jalen does it with the run and with the finishing it off, it is. It's different. I mean, that's why it's hard to sometimes. What's that?
It's just not consistent.
Well, the run is consistent.
Well, he's not.
He's consistent in the run.
He's not consistent in the pass.
Yeah, well, he was. We've talked about that enough this week. I'm coming off a big pass.
Oh, we talked about it enough probably this year.
Yeah, well, he comes off a big performance versus Steelers.
No, you're right. He's thrown for more yards in one game than he did in the last 3. I got it. No, hey, he's played great. Okay.
Don't let
hey, folks, let me throw this at you here. When your quarterback doubles and triples the amount of passing yards he's had in the last 3 games in the NFL, and someone tells me he's had a great season, okay. Hey. Yeah, all right. He's had a great game, though. Jay, I don't want to dismiss it. Absolutely sensational ball game today. And you're 12-2, and you are the front. Get this. Here's what I'll do for you. Your defense is sensational. Your O-line is great. Your quarterback had a great game today in light of the fact that your running game was nowhere. Played great today. He surely did. Has he all year? My opinion, no. He's never been consistent this season, but he showed today that when he needed them to step up, they did. And by the way, AJ was great. Devontae was great. The whole passing thing against the 25th ranked passing defense in pro football, they took advantage of it. The Eagles have struggled. You said it too, I think on Thursday, that the Pittsburgh Steelers, if you were going to beat them, you weren't going to beat them running the ball. You were going to beat him throwing the ball. That's exactly what happened. And that's the trend.
Yep. A great game today by Jalen Hurts. I'll just give everybody the stat line one more time here. Birds win the game today, 27-13. And Jalen Hurts was 25 of 32 today for 290 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he had another touchdown on the ground along with 45 rushing yards for Jalen Hurts today. Saquon Barkley was 19 for 65 on the ground. A.J. Brown, 8 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown. Devontae Smith, 11 catches. How about that? 11 catches for Smitty, 109 and a touchdown today. So both receivers involved, Jalen Hurts involved, Saquon involved. Everybody got involved today, Big Sills.
I'll tell you this, that game really was 34-13.
Yeah, should have been.
Because they could have jammed that in.
They could have scored. Yep.
Okay. I mean, that was a 34-13 ball game that they could have jammed in on that. So, I mean, they completely, I mean, Pittsburgh, because of the coaching and because of the defense they had, kept them kind of in it. You know what I'm saying, Zander? They kept them kind of in it. And I'll tell you who else kept them in it. I'm not a guy that does this. I really don't. But I don't know what the NFL officials were looking at today with numerous calls out there. They were all over. That pick that they called on Smitty was a bullshit call, man. Dude, he was trying to get out of the way. He put his hands up, and they called him on it. I'm like, I thought the NFL officiating, I thought for sure, I thought they missed the boat today, and they kept Pittsburgh in that game.
We'll get to our first commercial break. We'll talk to John McMullen coming up soon from Lincoln Financial Field. I got 2 questions for Big Sills when we return from the break. One of them will be addressing a super chat who says, Zander and Sills, your game ball goes to who? We'll talk about that next. And then a big question on the NFC. We'll talk about that all coming up next on the JAKIB Postgame Show after a Birds win their 10th straight game, everybody. And remember, don't let the Grinch steal Christmas. We'll be back in 3.